Hey, on today's show, we are going to talk about how to quit your job and go full time on your wood and lumber business. So, I'm Steve Larziliere. I'm the host of the Woodpreneur podcast. I also am the president and founder of buildergrowth.io. We help build and scale wood, lumber, furniture companies, millwork companies, by adding marketing systems into their business. So, I've had the fortunate privilege of, as an investor and as a mentor and coach to different woodpreneurs, I had the pleasure of helping about 8 people quit their jobs and go full time on their business. And I'm super excited to kind of go over this training with you. So, before I get to it, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my story, and how I did it, and I'm gonna also tell you a little bit about some of my clients and how they did it as well. So for me, um, I the first time I ever quit a job, it was because I was working at a full time job as a marketing agency, and I got really good at the job, and I got a little bored with it. So I started a side hustle of a marketing agency on the side, and I had a partner. And one of the things that we did was that we networked our way into um, sort of different clients. One of those clients happened to be a record company, and we did a really good job. It was like nights and weekends, hustling, purely focused on delivering great value to this particular client. And as a result of that, they offered us a contract that enabled us to grow and start a business. While we were there, we added a bunch of other and new clients as well. And so that was the first time I did it. The second time I did it was to start a nonprofit organization. I had gotten a job at a nonprofit, and again, I came up with this idea to start my own nonprofit organization. And um, and so one of the things that I did was I actually had built up a plan to launch this organization, but the plan to get it funded was going to come from a different source. That source would have taken a lot longer, and I had like a timing thing. Like I needed to launch my nonprofit project by a specific time, like specific time of the year. And in order for me to do that, I had to quit my job. And so one of the things that I did was I saved up enough money for 4 months of living expenses, and then I was able to leverage that in order to launch it. So quitting my job gave me the time so that I could work on my nonprofit and at the same time use my living expenses and savings until that caught up. Okay, so that's the second time. And then the third time was that I had a full-time job running this nonprofit, and on the completely on the side, nights and weekends, I had built a company leveraging my skills. By the time I launched my third company, um, I had learned how to delegate. I learned how to build teams. I learned how to do all of these different things. And one of the things that I did was I built this team. It got so big in order for, and it, what it did was give me options. I had a great, fulfilling job in my nonprofit organization, but this company, Woodpreneur podcast, the consulting that I do with wood businesses, was just kind of calling my attention. And it just made it feasible enough that like I was able to replace my income with no problem with the consulting and the podcast and all that sort of stuff. Um, and so I was able to naturally transition out of that. So that's the first thing. Second, so that was my story. I have another client named Matt. Um, he's a father of 6. He lives in Minnesota. He started working with me when he had a part-time job. Well, he was doing sawmilling and lumber part-time, while he had a full-time job at a factory. And so again, it was like nights and weekends, busting your butt, you know, doing everything that he needed to do. So one of the things that we did was we built up a freedom plan, which I'm going to talk through the strategy with this. But like, again, he kept working, he kept banking his money, and then he got to the point where his day job was costing him money instead of working on his sawmill business. So he was making way more money on his sawmill business than it was at his day job. As soon as you get to that point, then it's time to leave, right? Okay, so he was the second example. There's many more, but another one is Nathan. Nathan quit. He had a sort of factory job as well. He had built up enough work and a backlog of work that he felt confident knowing that he was going to get the deposits and do what he needed to do in order for him to leave the job. So he gave his, 1 month notice and he was able to leave his job. But I'm going to walk you through the process of how these folks did it and the kind of mindset that you need to have. Because, it's funny too. I talked to another client, an old client, and he said that when you have a full-time job, there's the illusion of it being safe and secure, but you're not actually safe and secure. What you are is getting a paycheck. Paycheck you can use to buy and live your life and do what have you, but you're literally at the mercy of someone else that's dictating your number on a spreadsheet. And so that what my client told me was the safety and security that you think you have is actually false. And I'll tell you another thing. So like I was talking to my mom when the first time I quit my job in order to go all in on my own business. And I talked to my mom because the first time I quit my job I was 24, 25 years old. Yeah, I was 25 years old. And I talked to my mom. My mom was like, aren't you afraid to like just go out on your own and don't you like want a job so that you can have that security? And you know what I told her? I told her that uh, I don't trust other people with my career and my livelihood. I trust myself more than I trust an institution, and trust other people because again, I'm just a number on a spreadsheet for them. So anyway, let me go into the foundation. So in order for you to truly go in on your business and go all in, you need to have the skills and the experience. Like you kind of have to have a focus or a niche on something. And so if you don't have that, then you need to develop that. You need to develop a whole lot of skills and some experience. And whether it is, in the wood space, whether it's making tables or furniture or, building or renovation or millworks like cabinetry, you're going to have to know how to do that. The other thing is that you need a certain level of organizational skills. You need to like have some clarity as to like start and finishing projects, being disciplined and knowing how to, oh my God, if you've managed people, this is one of the best things that you can do, is to start your own business. The next is having an income projected, and sorted out. So like, how much you need to bring in. If you know how much you need to bring in, that is really, really, really important. And so if you can have your income projected and sorted out, just like knowing like in 6 months, 9 months, and if you could either have that in savings or have that in jobs, that's even the best. The third thing is, and wouldn't it be great if you had a network of people who support you? So when I'm talking about these are the foundations that you need in order for you to like leave your job. You need a network of people who support and love you. The fourth is get your spouse on the same page. Because if you don't have that, oh man, it's going to be really hard to grow. Really, really, really hard to grow, do anything entrepreneurial. And the reason why is because spouses, depending on, who your role in your relationship, spouses often crave security and certainty. So you need some, if you can reassure your spouse that you got this handled and taken care of, in order for you to provide a roof over your head and feed your family and, not have a decrease in your lifestyle, that's great. The next thing is that I want you to separate out your business from your personal. So that means you need to get your LLCs, get your separate bank accounts. When the money comes in, you don't conflate that with anything personal. Like, you have to separate it, because oftentimes here's what happens. People are like, I can't afford it, I can't afford it, I can't afford it. Like, maybe your personal side can't afford it, but your business could. And so you have to actually look at your personal life as like, those are expenses. And when you look at your business, those are investments. And so when you are spending money on tools and mentorship and advertising and marketing, those are investments to help grow the business. And that's why it's super important for you to separate out. You have to separate out your business. You need to put a timeline together. You need to have a timeline for when you want to leave. 6 months, 3 months, 9 months, 12 months. Like, set a date and then just work it. The next is you have to be patient, because during this process, it's going to be ups and downs, and it's going to be so frustrating. This is one of the hardest things. If you've always been an employee, it's going to be one of the hardest things for you to go through, is to get to the point where you are working for yourself. Some people are lucky, but and I would say that I'm fortunate, but it hasn't always been easy. And so you kind of have to like go in and just be patient with yourself, be patient with the process. If you are doing things for yourself, oftentimes it does take longer. And then lastly, in terms of foundation, is like, enjoy the process. Like, the whole process of doing this, like, you're going to have stories. You're going to have this amazing experience of being able to just build something for yourself. Listen, don't even get romantic at the fact that like, oh, I want to build a business that I can pass on to my kids. Often those businesses don't really last. Those are few and far between. Like, stay focused on yourself and right now, and making sure that you're out of your job situation so that you can provide for your family doing something that you love on your own terms. All right. So here's the strategy. So first we talk through the foundation, and now we're going to talk through the strategy. All right. So first is determine what your number is. What is the number that you feel comfortable with? And oftentimes it is your monthly expenses times the number of months. And ideally you want 3 to 6 months. Look, if things don't work out, you can always get another job. You're actually not a failure. There's so many people that start businesses and it doesn't work out, right? So what you want is to make sure that you have 3 to 6 months, and depending on, the level of certainty with your spouse, potentially it's 9 months, right? And then what you want to do is make sure you have that number in savings, plus a backlog of work and deposits. So if you have milling jobs, cabinet jobs, if you have, custom furniture jobs, like, just make sure that you have all of that in deposits, right? So that's the strategy. So how do you make money? Like, so this is a lot of times people say, I don't have time. So like, use vacation days. You got to like almost steal from your job, right? Use vacation days, call in sick, do nights and weekends. You can build a team to outsource. You can literally build a team for, at least for administrative, non-shop related tasks. You can build a team, hire people. And the other thing is like woodpreneurs get often romantic. They're the ones that have to do everything. You don't actually have to do everything. You don't. Take some of your day job money and reinvest it into building a team. That's what I would do if I was starting over. I would build a team. And that's actually what I did with Builder Growth. Like I built a team. I had 3 or 4 people full time while I was working a full time job. They were building this business. Um, so build a team and then focus on your craft, but most importantly, focus on marketing and sales. Focus on marketing and sales. So that's how you actually make money in order for you to um, build your freedom number and have that in savings. Okay? Okay, now the last part to leaving your job is how will you know when it's time to leave your job? You dread going to work and it's affecting your mental health. I find this all the time. Lots of my clients, like they just hate going to work. The next is you've met your freedom number. Congrats. Now you have to actually leave. The third is you're making more money on your side business than your day job. That's definitely when you need to leave. When it's costing. And then, yeah, like the last thing is you're losing money being at your job. You're making more money outside of work than you are at work. That's when you know it's time to leave. So I want to tell you that leaving a job and leaving the safety and security of having a full-time job is never, ever, ever easy. Trust me, I've done it 3 times, and right now it's kind of like a muscle. And so it's easier for me. And so what I want you to do, if you take anything away from this, is like really focus on your craft. Make sure that you have a community and your spouse behind you. You have a plan behind how you're going to grow your business. And fourth, you just need to work it. Work it. Like just continue to just put your business ahead, nights, weekends. Like just do what you need to do. It is seriously one of the most rewarding things. And if you have a family, if you have a young family, like, I don't know, like I know that I'm raising a family and I'm building a family that they see me every day working towards my passions and building my own company versus working for someone else in their company. So I hope you found this useful. Thank you so much. Click in the link in the bio. I have a training, which is one of my best trainings on how to grow and scale a wood business, and actually how I helped bring in $200,000 in 15 days and 300 leads. So come and check that out. And I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks so much. All right, bye.